Yeah, I know what I said, but I am a mystery. So I'm actually going to sort this thing. I'm going to start anyway. I don't know how far I'm going to get into it. I paused the sorting to build the big spaceship, and I enjoyed that. And again, contrary to what I said in the videos, where it's like, meh, I enjoyed building it. I'm going to say that. The overall aesthetic of it, as I say, it's fine. It has definite room for improvement. Let's just say that needs improvement on my report cards back in grade school, basically, is that ship. So, but I wanted to talk momentarily, which means both for a moment and in a moment. I learned that from my favorite show. I'm gonna have this is a momentarily have this video. First, I'm going to mention this thing that's been hanging here, and you guys probably seen it. So my niece sewed this up for me years ago when she found out that I was a Lego fan. She just started dating my nephew, and she's a seamstress. She's awesome. And so one day, I think it was for Christmas, years and years ago, she gave this to me. She just whipped it together and gave it to me. So now it hangs here in a prominent spot right on my room, because it's awesome. So I love my family. Not just because they give me Lego, but I don't know how it came up, but this was one of my favorite things that I ever built. It's kind of bland and easy to see, but so I don't know. I don't know what I was watching or listening to on the radio or whatever, but this came up, and this is going to be a reiteration of my lifestyle and why I do what I do here on the YouTubes and everything else. And sporadically, a good friend of this channel, whoever it is, as Dave, it'd be great if you have more subscribers. Sure, it would be great if I had more subscribers, but I don't. So, and I'm not willing to put specific work into gaming the algorithms. Like, I've done some research on the YouTubes about algorithms and guy's name Al, algorithms and how to increase your subscriber count, and looking at what I could do myself, like maybe get a microphone. Because I'm noticing this when I play my videos and I go on to the next one, I have to turn on the volume because that microphone's way over there on the phone and I'm way over here. So sorry about that. So that's annoying, and I will be the first to admit that it's annoying. There are things I genuinely want to fix to make better videos. Not necessarily my hair or my clothing, but the technical aspects of my videos. My last couple of videos I've done editing. Who knew? So, editing, stitching videos together. I downloaded iMovie on my phone here, and instead of just having every individual whatever, so I might start editing these videos, these continuous videos where I just blather on and just edit out the weak spots, but probably not. But I did enjoy making a bunch of small videos, putting them together and getting them up there so you can see the time lapse of me building that thing and then talking about it. But so the technical aspects I am thinking about improving on, and I have ideas. I always have far too many ideas. But the overall doing it for the sake, the 100% sole idea of getting more subscribers is foreign to me. I'm not interested in just getting more subscribers. I want, and this is the analogy I'm going to make, because I always mention before I walk in this direction, if you want to walk with me, love the company. So in the 80s, which I grew up in. I was born in the 60s, but in the 80s is where, I started going to movies on my own and hanging out with my friends, and high school was in the 80s, end of grade school was in the 80s, going off to college was the 80s. And in the 80s, there was all these, this is gonna be, I don't know if it's crude, I know it's dated, what we used to call a mindless teenage sex comedy. In the theaters, because back in the 80s they didn't have a problem like we have now, from what I can see, with frontal nudity for women. Guys, no, that's restricted. But in a PG or AA movie, frontal nudity for women, not a problem. I'm thinking of Porky's. I'm thinking of Fast Times. I'm thinking of all those. And again, we can get into the debate whether or not those are what we would consider mindless teenage sex comedies, because Fast Times at Richmond High was actually a very, I won't say it was like War and Peace, but it wasn't mindless. It was actually, there was some good stuff there. But in the end, it was a mindless teenage sex comedy. So, and Porky's, like they had no, what was the other one? Revenge of the Nerds, the first one. It got better. Anthony Edwards, his big break before he became Goose, and Dr. Edwards, whatever his name was, Dr. Green on ER, was in Revenge of the Nerds, the first one. And I love those movies, straight up. I love those movies. And my problem is now looking back at them, I'm getting a lot of, so here's tangent time. I'm getting a lot of TikToks, because I'm on the TikToks. I'm getting a lot of TikToks where they say the 80s movies were the best movies, and they show Top Gun, and they show Cocktail, and they show like any Tom Cruise movie ever made, and then the Richard Gere movies, and like all these other movies, even Mystic Pizzas. I think that was the 80s. So all these, the Brat Pack with Demi Moore and Anthony, Emilio Estevez, and all those guys. Mannequin, Andrew McCarthy, Rob Lowe got his start in the Brat Pack. And I lived through it, and honestly, I will say Brat Pack movies, like you look at Breakfast Club, and that's a solid movie. And that movie, to me, because I lived it, holds up now. So John Hughes movies, period. I think that was John Hughes. I think he did Breakfast Club. You know, he did Ferris, and he did Pretty in Pink, and all those other ones. But anyway, the whole thing is 80s movies were not overall feminist movies, shall we say. It was always the guy, and the girl was always the conquest. Even in the I would say that John Hughes was possibly the best at promoting the equality of the sexes in his movies, but even people can write papers, dissertations, and go on pages and pages about how the hero is always a guy. Always a guy, except for maybe Breakfast Club. There is no gender-specific hero in the Breakfast Club. All characters are treated equally and equitably, and their stories are all equally important to the story. But again, you get Ferris Bueller, which is still one of my favorite movies of all time because of how just wonderfully beautiful it is. It is Ferris's movie. Now, I'm not saying that's a dumb male. I'm going off on this dissertation now. This wasn't the point. but I have grown in my appreciation of understanding how what we project on TV is what is a reflected to society. It's not a one-to-one ratio of what society is, but it's a reflection to society. And the 80s wasn't kind to women overall. There was some very, very, very few strong female leads in the 80s, forgetting Ripley. It's my favorite movie of all time. Not my favorite movie of all time, but I just love it. But anyway, the mindless teenage sex comedy. And you get a movie like Weird Science and all those other ones, and even like all the other besides Breakfast Club, where the Risky Business, Tom Cruise, one of his big first outbreak roles, where the rich parents go off on vacation, and the teenagers have a bash. So this is bringing it back to why I wanted to make this video, talking about how I'm gonna. Why I'm not in it. I'm not in it solely for subscribers. So the teenagers throw this wild bash, and the entire neighborhood descends on the house, and the house is completely destroyed. Again, Weird Science, Risky Business, at all. And they have to fix it before the parents come home, which is always the end of the movie. And I say. I lived in the, I was young in the 80s. I turned 13 when the 80s started, right? So there's no way I'm going to a wild bash in the early 80s or even the mid 80s. It was the late 80s and I was already in my 20s. My friends had parties and we would go to parties. And being the quintessential quote unquote textbook geek at the time, I didn't ever, and I'm glad I didn't ever get to a wild bash where people trashed the house. Now I've heard of them when we were in high school. Oh, that party at Joe's place. Oh, it was a whatever bender, whatever the kids call it these days. and the chandeliers got broken, whatever. Like, and I'm going, that is not fun to me. That is not even close to fun to me. I have no consideration of that being at all enjoyable. Where people are, and I'll tell you a quick story to go with this. So there was a really again, you can make a huge case that it's not, but there was a good musician named David Wilcox back in the day. And David Wilcox was known for the college circuit, that he would just tour around the area in Hamilton, Burlington, Toronto, and show up at bars and play at bars and just be completely wasted when he was playing. Again, I liked his music. I don't listen to him much anymore. I don't think I've heard of Wilcox on it in like over a decade. But David Wilcox was a known musician in the area, and anytime he was on tour anywhere, and people show up. And it wasn't like he's packing Madison Square Gardens or the ACC or the Sky Dome. Don't even start. Anybody who calls it the Rogers Center gets immediately booted. It's not the Rogers Center. It's the Sky Dome. Okay, really quick. No corporation is going to tell me what to call a landmark. No corporation ever in the history of mankind is going to tell me what to call a landmark. If I bought the Eiffel Tower and I call it Dave's Place, no. So you can't change. Anyway, so the Sky Dome. Wilcox is not packing the Sky Dome, but he would go on the circuits. And so there's a place in Grimsby. It's long gone. It's a ripper joint. I mean, it's a strip joint, which I was in a few times, and there's stories about that. But again, not my cup of tea. But for those who like it, knock yourself out. But there was a couple stags there for friends who are getting married, and I have to be there. Anyway, but I was still in high school one time, my last year, I think, in high school. And all my friends going, oh, Wilcox is going to play at the Hunt Club in Grimsby. So the Hunt Club, the girls are upstairs, and downstairs is a bar with a stage, and that's where the people would play music. So you don't have to go check out naked women upstairs. Again, PG, sorry, if you're a kid. You didn't have to go upstairs. You can go downstairs to where the bar and the stage were, and watch whatever bands in the area. And so all my friends, grade 13 high school, that would be the fifth year of high school, for those who don't know what grade 13 is anymore. People who are going to go off to university would stay for an extra year. And so all my friends, hey, Wilcox is going to be at the Hunt Club in Grimsby. We have to go. It's a Friday night. So we left school. We all go to the Hunt Club. For me, the Hunt Club is 5 miles from my house, 10 miles from my house, whatever. It's just the next exit on the highway from where I lived. But anyway, my friends, we all probably in one of my buddy's cars, we drive to the Hunt Club. We get there at 9 o'clock because that's when the music is supposed to start. So we go down to the basement, and it is packed. Grimsby High is all there. Winona High is all there. Orchard Park's all there. So there's a whole bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds packed in this basement. You can't move down there. And again, I'm sure we broke a couple fire rigs. And again, this is the 80s. People are smoking their cigarettes. There's beer. I've mentioned this. I can't stand the smell of beer. Never liked it. But then my friends, not my friends, but people there are 18, 19, and they're just having a wild time. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. They're already wasted. A lot of them are wasted, and they're stumbling around, and they're throwing up because they're kids and they can't handle alcohol. This is not fun to me. But anyway, so I'm watching where I'm stepping on the floor, watching, and I have to weave between people, and I'm talking to this friend over here, and I go over there and talk to that friend, waiting for Wilcox, because I know who Wilcox is. I have one of his cassette tapes in my car. So 10 o'clock goes by, 11 o'clock goes by. Everybody's just completely wasted, and they're screaming, where's Wilcox, and blah blah blah. It's just loud, noisy, smoky, vomit on the floor. How is this fun? And if it's fun for you, have at it. This is the 80s. Have at it. For me, I'm going to be over there where it's a nice, quiet little corner. And I'm not an introvert, slightly introverted, but I like to party. I like to have fun. I can go into my trips to Oktoberfest with my friends when in my 20s. Fantastic. This is not fun for me. 11 o'clock goes by, still no Wilcox. Oh, he's not going to show up. 11:30, he shows up. PM. We've been there for 2.5 hours. Everybody's already wasted and smells like vomit and smoke, and I'm going, oh. He's drunk. Now again, I know who he is, and I expected it, but he is completely drunk, and he shows up on stage and he plays. He can play drunk. Like, the music is good. He plays good music. I like his music. It's fun. It's not world shattering. It's not Supertramp, but it's fun music. And he starts playing, and everybody's screaming and rowdy and blah blah blah. And I'm going, this isn't for me. So like the very first song, I'm out. Like now the music's loud and it smells like puke and it's smoking, whatever. I go upstairs to the payphone because back in the 80s, kids, there's no cell phones. So I go, there was payphones everywhere, ubiquitous everywhere. So I go up to the front entrance to the Hunt Club, big sign, neon Hunt Club, and Wilcox playing downstairs. People in the area know what it is. So I go upstairs. It's midnight now. I go upstairs and I call my dad. I could have walked home. Honest to goodness, I could have walked home. It would have taken me 45 minutes to walk home. Piece of cake, right? I walked and rode my bike everywhere up until now, until I got my license. In town, it's a small town. Well, it's a small populated town. It's a huge farming town. Like you had to walk everywhere when you were a kid. So anyway, I could have walked home in 45 minutes, but I called my dad midnight. Hey, Pops. Ring, ring. Hey, Pops, wake him up. And I'm 18, 19 years old. Hey, Pops, can you come and pick me up? Now, of course, at that exact second, of course, I didn't think this thing through, because he goes, where are you, son? And I go, I'm at the Hunt Club. I'll be right there. So he shows up. Not a question, but again, that's my dad. I'm here and I need to ride home. I tell my friends, the friend who drove, I'm leaving. So you didn't have to worry about driving me home. I'm not like, but this is not for me. I'm leaving. So I left my friends there, and my dad comes to pick me up. And to me, that vividly, that night, from the high school talking about it to 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, I vividly remember the entire evening. Now, I might have, in my mind over the years made it more, but no, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. We got there at 9, people thrown up already and wasted and packed, just packed. You couldn't move. And all these high school kids that I knew from the area and blah, blah, blah. And Wilcox shows up at 11:30 drunk and still plays good music. But I've just it's not for me. So I leave, hop my dad's car. And when I heard a story today or the other day about 80s movies and the wild bashes in the houses that, you saw in Risky Business and Weird Science and all the other ones back then, and they basically trashed the house, and I'm going, even then, I get what they were going for, because that's what happened in the 80s, and probably in the 70s, and probably in the 60s, right? But it never appealed to, like, this didn't seem like fun to me, and those movies did not make it seem like it was, you shouldn't do it. They just said there's repercussions for doing it. Like in Risky Business, he had to buy back all the stuff and have the house fixed before his parents came home, Tom Cruise, and his mom's little whatever award there that was cracked. It was like, so there was repercussions to the big bashes in these movies, but there was no forethought in saying that these things were wrong and they shouldn't happen. and again, if you're into that, knock yourself out. So maybe they're not wrong for you. For me, I would say my favorite parties, my favorite personal, going to somebody's house and having a party, a birthday party, whatever, or just my friends and I rented a house in Winona. 4 of us rented this house. We had a Halloween party there. We had a Hawaiian luau there. We had a Christmas and New Year's Eve party. Those were, I won't say bashes, but there was 20, 30 people there. Outside, when it was a Halloween party, we had my buddy Andrew play the music. We have fantastic stories about it. But there was no abject stupidity. There was no trashing the actual house. There was nobody putting their fists to the wall, or breaking the chandelier, swinging from the chandelier. And so there were fun parties. And at the end of the day, even if you're drunk and intoxicated and passed out in the basement, which is where my bedroom was back then, it was fun. And if you want to pass out, you could, because you're not driving home. We made sure of that. If you're drinking lots, you're not driving home. We took keys off of people, because we're responsible even at 18, 19, 20. And so my personal parties that my friends threw, fantastic. Parties that other people threw, and again, going to see Wilcox and whatever, not fantastic for me. And so how it relates to this channel, because everybody's like, how does this relate to my channel? I like friends. I like hanging around people who are not necessarily 100% like-minded with me, because I'm not a guru. I don't know anything. I like other people's opinions and thoughts and outlooks on life, and so when people say, "Hey, Dave, how about?" Fantastic. You keep on posting or not posting or whatever, but I like the word. It's not the word intimate, because that implies something completely different. It's close, and as I mentioned this word before, it's a Dutch word, gezellig, comfortable. And so I am all about comfort. My clothing styles and my whole outlook on life is about getting to be comfortable. It's not getting to be lazy or sedentary, whatever that word is. I can read it, I just can't pronounce it, obviously. Because you do have to, push yourself sometimes, and you do have to expand your horizon sometimes. But it's just like my entire life, I knew I'd never like beer, and the smell of beer turns me off. And so I don't drink beer, period. I don't. And I don't have to try it to see if I want to drink beer. Now, a lot of people say, oh, try it, you might like it. I've heard that my entire life about a bunch of things. And there are certain things that, in my mind, I wouldn't mind trying that. I used to drink screwdrivers. I used to drink screwdrivers before I became a compulsive non-alcoholic. And so I would have the occasional screwdriver until I turned 19, but that's a whole other story. And I didn't mind it. I did not mind my screwdrivers. And actually, if I had one today, I'd probably have a screwdriver. But I don't want it. And so there's no amount of peer pressure that's going to make me have a screwdriver if I don't want one. And so that goes with my saying that I want to be comfortable. And I've always been comfortable with my channel. As you can see, I got a prolific, so many stupid videos going back 15 plus years now on my YouTube channel. And it is for friends. Even if I don't know you yet. If you're watching it and you stick around, you're a friend. Because if you don't like what I'm saying, you go away. and all the power to you. If you want to go somewhere else and see something else, and you want to appreciate something else, I appreciate that you want to do that. I'm not here to try to keep you here. I'm not here to say, please, please, please stay in my channel. If I have 50 subscribers, I know they're all friendly. If I have 500 subscribers, that's basically what I have now. And you guys interact with me. I realized even this weekend, I posted on Facebook into two groups that I'm in. They're Lego groups, obviously. One is Classic Space and one is Vintage Lego. And I built that ship, which is Vintage Lego and Classic Space. So I posted my ship to both groups, and I was inundated. I mean, it's great with people who just love the ship and want to ask questions and whatever. It's great. I'll answer them for a weekend. It's great, and it'll gradually peter down, and I won't have any more people talking about my spaceship. but my friends will see it, and they'll keep on asking about it, just like you guys are on my YouTube channel, which is fantastic because it's small enough for me to work on and to reply to. If I had 1.5 million subscribers like Justin Bieber, or how many he has, he's not reading any of that. He's reading the first 2 pages or the first 2 replies, and then going on to his next thing that he's going to post and get 1 million replies to. I try, honest to goodness, I try to reply to every single person who puts the effort into posting something, a reply to one of my videos. And overall, I think I'm very successful in that. However, if it gets busier, I can't do that. I want the interaction. I want people to feel like they're appreciated. And if your appreciation is to post a response to one of my videos and say hi or how'd you do, I mean, I've most of my videos right now are in response to somebody saying, oh, I want to see that. Okay, here you go. My friend Jeff said, oh, you should make that ship. Okay, here's the ship. and I have the time and the availability and the want, the desire to do that. And if I get get thousands of subscribers, yes, YouTube's going to send me a check in the mail every couple weeks or whatever. I can go off on that rant later. But I'd rather have people who want to be here and keep it small and again, not intimate, but gezellig, comfortable with people who want to watch my videos and listen to me go on for 35 minutes about, or 25 minutes about old movies that, you know. And so my analogy is I'm walking this way, you want to walk with me, that's perfectly acceptable. If you want to walk somewhere else, that's also perfectly acceptable. But it's also I don't want to be the mindless teenage sex comedy. I don't want this to be mindless. I don't want this to be unresponsive to you as well as me. Because if it is too big, if it gets too big, if it gets too overbearing, then I'm going to, honest to God, I'm not going to be happy. And so I would rather have 500 people who appreciate this than 50,000 people who don't appreciate this and are just spamming and whatever. Flying under the radar is another one. Flying under the radar. Because I also get, and again, I'm not faulting anybody who does that wants to get to 50,000 subscribers, that go into the algorithms and figure out the metrics and figure out what they can do better to get more followers, more subscriptions, because they're in it for their reasons. They're in it for that. And I'm not disparaging that at all. I actually encourage that. I've subscribed to a whole bunch of channels. When you get to, oh, please like and subscribe. I want to get to the 250,000 subscriber mark. Subscribe because I like your videos and I want you to keep on making them. But I know that every time I put a post response to your video, you're not responding to me. I get it, because 250,000 people are gonna, there's half of them, or a lot of them are gonna be posting. You look at the comment thread, it's 5 pages long or 50 pages long. They're not reading it. so they're reading some of it. And again, I'm not faulting them for that, because that's way too cumbersome to take care of. And that's when you get moderators, and that's when you get all this other stuff. I'm not interested. I'm interested in keeping it close, knit community that appreciate each other, that can have a nice discussion, that can have a nice, like at one of my parties back in the day that I used to go to with my friends, and even when I've had parties here, and Sandy and I've had parties here, and people come here, we play a game, we get Carcassonne out, we get Ticket to Ride out, whatever, we play Crowns, and we talk into the night, and it's comfortable. And that's 100% who I am. It's 100% my personality, is to be comfortable. And I never wanted to be splashed on the front page of anything, and never wanted to be in the limelight at all with the world. I am the wizard. I'm the guy behind the curtain. This is what I use the term at work. Because when you're doing IT as long as I have, you get to be known as the miracle work, the go-to guy, where people show up and they say, oh, we need this fixed. We'll give it to Dave, he'll get it fixed. And when it comes to recognition, I don't want it. I do my job. I get paid to do my job. I get paid well to do my job. To keep the lights on, as I keep on saying, I keep the lights on. But in the end, on the west coast of our country, there are these things called totem poles. They're wonderful. Beautiful. I did a book report on them, or a report on them back when I was in grade school, about the significance and the built-in society, the ingrained society, what those totem poles signify. Also, the mechanics of how they're built and all that stuff. I remember doing a ton of research on the totem poles back in the day, and that stuck with me, because things stick with me. That I can make story time about. That's my whole life. Like Wilcox story time. Like anytime it's even inferred, I'll tell a Wilcox story. So, because I was there. Anytime it's inferred, like I'll tell the colorblind story because it happened to me, and this is what happens. The stuff I remember from my youth and my 20s and 30s, all to do with stories that I can reuse at specific opportunities. So anyway, I did this book report in grade 7, or I don't even know what year it was. It could have been grade 7 or 8, but it was about the totem poles. And so what I'd say now is I don't want people paying any attention to me. At work, I'm the guy behind the curtain. I'm the part of the totem pole in the dirt, the stuff that's buried, that's holding up the rest of it. Just pay no attention to me. I get the job done. The lights are on. You're able to do what you need to do, and then go do your job and leave me alone. So I don't need to. Now, when I get recognition, is fantastic. I don't shy away. Like a few years back, at the Christmas party, they called me up because it was my anniversary at the company, and I got a standing ovation. Again, completely, I was completely flabbergasted that that's what happened, but it's what happened, and I'm going, yeah, that's very sweet of you guys. Like, it was very sweet, and I thanked them. But I like people. I like friends. I like talking to people. Talking with people, working with people. I love the camaraderie. But if it gets too big, then it's too, like, this is. I know I'm dwelling on the same topic over and over again. I like to keep things not confined because I don't mind growth at all. But I do appreciate people that I have the opportunity of liaising with, interfacing with, whatever they want to call it these days. And I'd rather have that than a million subscribers where I can't, because I would feel too overwhelmed, so I wouldn't do it. And I'm the kind of guy that says, if I can't do it for everybody, I'm not going to do it for anybody. It's back in the day when you brought Valentine's cards to your classroom in grade 2 and 3. If you don't have one for everybody, then you don't have one for anybody, because you're going to leave somebody out. And again, in competition, that's fine. There's always going to be a winner and loser. But in things that are not a competition, and this to me, my YouTube channel is not in competition with anybody else. So I do appreciate people who say in competition you have to strive for success, and there are going to be winners and there's going to be losers, and I appreciate, again, there's nuance. Okay, so let's go off of this quick tangent. There's nuance to life. What is applicable in one situation and what is designed in one situation does not fit into a different situation. And so when I say I'm not here for 1 million subscribers, and yet there are people who are here for 1 million subscribers, I support them in their endeavor to get 1 million subscribers. And if I like them, I'm going to be one of them. For me, I'm not here for subscribers. I am not. That is not my prime mode operandi for this little channel of mine. If it was 15 years and I got 500, I'd give up. I am here to talk to you, my friends. I am here to liaise, to communicate back and forth, to throw stuff out there that I'm mildly interested in. I like this stuff. And other people have said to me that they're mildly interested in, so I have this stuff. and I am I do know, and again, I don't want to be self-deprecating, so this is not self-deprecating. This is actually whatever, making myself whatever. Because I have a collection that spans over 60 years of Lego, because I never stopped collecting Lego my entire life. I never had dark ages. There's very few of us Lego fans. And again, we're not better than anybody else, and we're not worse than anybody else. We're all fans. This is not a competition. This is not who has the biggest Lego collection, because I have a small one compared to my friends. I'm not here to get a big Lego collection. I'm not here to get a lot of subscribers. I'm in competition with no person when it comes to my hobby here. I'd rather work with people than against people to win. I'd rather work with people and say, hey, You want to talk about something that I might have in my collection? Or you want me to talk about something I have in my collection? Absolutely. I'm going to hold out here and I'm going to talk about it. And if somebody says, I'm in negotiations, I'm actually talking to my friend from New Jersey, because he saw that I have all these control centers, 3 of them that I cannot use. And he says, hey, I have another friend of mine who's interested in one of those control centers. Well, I have 3. They're just going to sit here and collect dust until the end of time. So I'm going to ship them one. I am getting compensated nicely, thank you. But it's not a competition. I don't want to get a 4th controller and say, I got more than anybody else. I don't care. So, yes, I do have a ton of RCXs. I didn't get the ton of RCXs to say, I got all the most, look at me, I got the most RCXs. I just happen to, there's a lot there and it's cheap. And I I didn't buy it just for the RCXs, although I did have a plan at one point to make a piano. That's a whole other story. So that's also in my head. Like, I have so many ideas in my head. And the piano would require 25 RCX, well, it's 27 RCXs. And I don't have enough. That's a whole other story. So I'm in competition with no man on this hobby thing. I'm in competition with no man. Let's not be sexist here. No person when it comes to this hobby. If somebody has more than me, I love it. I mean, I can guarantee I do not have the most Galaxy Explorers. I can guarantee it. I've seen people with more Galaxy Explorers than I have. So it's not a competition. I'm not, I have to beat them. I'm going to go on Bricklink and spend $5,000 to get more, RCXs than the next guy. No, you have all the power. I want to see him. What are you going to do with him? Show me. I loved it. Blah, blah, blah. And as I say, if somebody needs a Galaxy Explorer for an auction for charity, there you go. No sweat off my nose at all. Because that's what I do. I don't care about pretense. I don't care about ego overall. I care about working together, meshing together, working with one another. I am, to wrap this up, I am on a personal level, very, very libertarian. Personally, I'm a personal libertarian when it comes to personal interactions with everybody else. You do you. I will do me. I'll take care of what I want. I love what I want. I'll appreciate what I want. You appreciate what you want. You do what you want. You do whatever. As long as it's not negatively impacting anybody else, you go ahead. So, and if I think it's cool, I'm going to support you. I actively support you. If I don't care, but you're not impacting anybody else, like the drinking, I will drive you home if you want to get drunk. I've done it numerous times in my life, not lately because none of my friends are like getting drunk anymore. But back in the 20s and 30s, I was always a designated driver and I loved it. So the libertarian, you get as drunk and wasted as you want to, I'll get you home safely. That's what I want to do. I had fun doing it. It's not like a job. It's not like, I have to do this for my friends again. I loved it. I have so many stories about those times when I'm driving all my friends home at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. So many stories. But, so you do you. I'm going to do me, as long as we're not interfering negatively with one another. But on a political front, societal front, I'm a complete, I won't say utter socialist, but I'm the community has to work together, and that's the way my mom and dad brought me up. I mentioned that before. My parents were very, very socially active, very, very Citizenship of the Year award active, very, very what's best for community active, and that is honestly who I am when it comes to society in general. And the whole point is that, to finish this again, we have, each person, each individual has an inherent, built-in, inherent, again, I'm not going to justify this, but I can, inherent responsibility to the society they live in. If that society is allowing you to do what you want to do and give you the freedom that you want to have and to give you the structure that you need to do what you want to do, then you have an inherent responsibility. And that inherent responsibility isn't to do what my parents did, which was virtuously do more for society than what's, you know, not what's expected, but what's necessary. My parents did more than what was necessary for society, straight up. That's not even a question. But that's a virtue. But the societal expectation is that you do not negatively impact society with your actions or your inactions. That's the moral standard. That's the moral baseline. So when you're driving down the road and you roll down your window, okay, I'm doing actual rolling down the window. From, again, kids, you don't have the whole window rolling down the window. You have a button. But back when I was a kid, you roll it. That's why we call it rolling down the window, because you had to handle and you had to roll it down. For all you youngins out there, I am that guy in the porch now. I am Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. But if you're driving down the highway and you roll on the window, you throw your trash out the window, you are amoral, you are anti-moral to society. It's not, you are absolutely demonstrably wrong, and that's why we have laws about littering. You are wrong to society, and therefore you are inherently immoral, straight up. You throw trash out the window on the highway, you're immoral. And I'll go to the grave saying that. If you bully people, you're immoral. If you demand your rights that the right or your freedoms that negatively impact other people's lives, you're immoral. But if you say, I don't want to go to volunteer at the Boy Scouts, not a problem. You don't have to. That's a virtue. It's not a necessity. If you say, I don't want to go out and help somebody, then you don't have to. The society allows you the freedom to stay home and do whatever you want to do. Play video games to the cows come home. I got into this debate one time about the, people who say they're morally virtuous and yet they play video games. You need to recharge your batteries. like you can't live for society 100% of the time. My parents did, but you can't live for others 100% of the time and expect to be able to continue that. It's untenable. You can't. So there's the Mother Teresa, but I won't even talk about that because that's, I'm more of a Hitchens guy about Mother Teresa. But anyway, there are people who just completely dedicate themselves to extroverted societal stuff, and it's whole lives, and they get sustenance for themselves. They feel better about themselves, whatever it is. It's who they want to be. 100% on board with you doing that. But when you're doing that, you cannot look down on others who do not do that, as long as they're not negatively impacting anybody else. They don't have to be a positive impact, as long as they're not being a negative impact. So again, this was a tangent from a tangent. But in the end, I am very, very, very comfortable with my YouTube channel as it is, and the people who are on it, and the people who respond, and even the people who don't respond. Again, I have 500 subscribers, and I get like 5 or 7 people who respond to my videos and say, hey, what about? If you just want to watch, you watch. I'm gonna keep on posting them. If you want to go watch something else, go watch something else. And again, I'm gonna keep on posting mine. So if you want to stick around and say whatever, I'm here for it. If you want to, you do you. In the end, that's all I'm saying. You do. This is, look at that. That goes for this guy right here. I was looking for him. I love drilling holes in. Well, I don't love drilling. Anyway, more tangents. Sorry for that sudden horror at the end for me showing you that I drill holes in Lego bricks. That's my first one. It's really bad, but I'm gonna hide it in a couple seconds. So I'm gonna sort this out. I'm going to at least start sorting this out, and then I have some other ideas that I want to get into. So there are going to be more videos. I'm also changing. This is again the evolution of this channel. I did it for a while, but then I forgot that I did it, and then I just started, whatever I uploaded went immediately live. And some days I've posted 4 or 5 videos a day, and some weeks would go by without me posting anything. So what I am going to do now is, going forward, just for the Lego stuff, I'm going to schedule it the next day, and if there's already one scheduled for the next day, it'll be like I just one video per day, and I do drop them at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know the default is midnight, but I like 6 o'clock in the morning, for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm changing how I do things here. But I hope I didn't waste too much of your time. And as I say, I don't like the idea of the massively huge wild parties where everybody just descends on your channel, and you have lots of people who just don't care about me or the people that are already here, and they just want to have a bash and break things and get their knickers in a knot and just swing from the chandeliers. That's never who I've been. I am more of a close-knit community, where we all appreciate one another, we're all considerate of one another, and that's why my whole life, all my friends are like that, close-knit and willing to be there for one another in whatever capacity that can be. And that's why I've handled this channel. And it is like my dad's old slideshows back when we were kids, and he would do a slideshow for the family, or the Boy Scouts, or the men's club, or the divers, and he would custom make his slideshows for that specific group, and whoever wanted to watch it would be in the room to watch it, and if they didn't want to watch it, they'd be not in the room to watch it. And no sweat off of anybody's brow one way or the other. You keep on doing you. Anyway, that was a bit of a whole huge tangent on a different way of looking at my whole euphemism of walking in a direction. And if you want to walk with me, I like this one too. So I do not want to be a mindless teenage sex comedy from the 80s. I really don't. I watch them and they're fun watching, but I'll say this, I cringe during some movies, especially like Risky Business when the house is trashed, and Weird Science Tonight, because I put myself in universe, because you can see I put myself in whatever universe I'm working on, and I feel that, you know, when the parents come home and they put a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of themselves into their houses. Again, these are rich people, forgetting that part of the analogy, but as I say, I really appreciate other people's appreciation of stuff. And so when I see trashing of stuff, malicious trashing of anything, I actually feel, and even though it's a fake movie, I know it's happened in real life, and I hear it sometimes where somebody says, I put a lot of effort into X, Y, and Z, and somebody came and broke it or whatever. There was I think it was a Lego show. I honestly can't remember now. It was a show in a school gymnasium one time where they put a lot of effort. The displayers put a lot of effort into their display. I think it was Lego. It might not have been Lego, but it was in the news probably a half a dozen or a dozen years ago. I can't remember the exact specifics, but they came back the next day, and some kids in the school came and completely trashed the entire display. And it was like a big display, not like, you know, one of my little displays. But again, it would be akin to me showing up at a show and setting up my layout, which is only 5 by 7.5. And then going home at the end of the show and coming back the next day and coming back and finding it all smashed on the ground. Somebody took a baseball bat to it or whatever. I'm going, like, really? Like, it's like those kids when we were kids that used to kick anthills. I never got the thrill of that. I never understood the wanton destruction of other people's stuff. And it's just, obviously it's the way my parents raised me. So this is a tangent on the whole thing. I would rather, like, if I don't like something, I don't do it. I go somewhere else. If I don't want to be at a party, I didn't want to see Wilcox. Hey, Pops, come pick me up. I didn't want to stay. I'm not going to stay the rest of the night with this anymore. I do reach a point. So 9 o'clock goes on, and I get more. My escalation of I don't want to be here is going up. Whereas my hanging out with my friends, you know. So as soon as that equation of the graph of me not wanting to be there got above the line of me wanting to hang out with my friends for an evening and see Wilcox. Because that was the entire impetus of the entire trip, was to see Wilcox, and then he shows up drunk, and I'm going, why did I waste all this time? I could have been home watching Magnum. I don't know, Friday nights. No, Magnum was on Thursdays. I honestly can't remember what was on Friday nights now. But I could have been home watching it. So I do visualize in my head sometimes this graph of me wanting to get out of whatever situation I'm in versus what's keeping me there. And as soon as that line gets across, see ya, bye-bye. So, anywho, there's always a graph in my head for something. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. This was a long video of me saying basically nothing that I haven't said before, except I wrapped it up differently. So I want everybody out there to stay safe. Oh, by the way, I found a micromotor. That's for the 926 radar dish. This was for a different one, obviously. But when I sort my collection, this is what I find. I can guarantee there's going to be at least two 9-volt motors in there, at least two. There's anywho, and I can guarantee straight up, not to say anything, there's going to be a monorail motor in there, because I don't keep. This should be another video, but I'll make it quick. I was actually thinking, because I saw in Lego Monorail, the group on Facebook, a guy had this wonderful layout, and he made a whole bunch of 6399, the airport monorail, and he made a bunch of monorails, and they all in a monorail parking lot, a train yard, of all the different, all the same, but he made like 6 or 7 or 8 of them, just gorgeous. And he made some long ones too that had 6 cars in it, which I love that part, by the way, with monorail, when you have just more than the 1 car motor in the other car, when you have like 6 or 7 in the same monorail train. And I said, that's just gorgeous. Like, it's just beautiful. I love that. But for me, oh, sorry, right up here. Within arm's reach, and I, just because I haven't put them away yet, and I know there's more in there, because I keep on experimenting with different ideas, and I need a motor to build on, and then I can't find it, so I go grab another one out of my collection. I honestly don't know how many I own. that is a flex, and I'm sorry it is a flex, because it is a stupid flex. I do not know how many monorail motors I own. I know it's not, people who have bigger collections than I do, straight up. So I don't lose sleep over the fact that I have lots. But I would say I have at least, well, there's 4 in the layout. Every layout there's 4, and I have 2 more in my hand right now, and there's a bunch in a box over there, so I have at least 15, right? I never kept track. When I used to do all the eBay buying back in the day, when I was, oh, there's a monorail lot. Oh, I'm going to have $2 for a curve, $10 for a straight, $2.50 for a little straight, $15 for the switch and the mini curve. And the motors were like $10. And if I bid on it, and if I won, I won. If I didn't, I did it. Just like the Galaxy Explorers at $75 a pop. And and again, so to bring it back to Lego and at the 52-minute mark, I bid well over 100 times over 1 year for those Galaxy Explorers. I entered 100 plus bids. I bid on 100 different lots, 100 plus different lots. I won 12 of them, right? And it was a story. It wasn't like, oh, look at me, look how great I am. No, it's just a fun story. It's just like the Wilcox story. It's a fun story. It's my colorblind. And you hold up a card, and oh, I'm colorblind. And you can't be a diver. Why can't I be a diver? Because you're automatically a bomb disposal technician. Ah, got it. Like, no, it's a fun story. And so when I say I won 75, when I bid $75 and I won 12 times, I think it's fun. It's not like, oh, look at me, look how great I am. I won 12 Galaxy Explorers on eBay. No, if I won 6, I mean, I won 6. If I won 1, I won 1. Like it's the story. It's the fun part. Going to Lego dinner and saying, hey guys, look, I got a Lego Explorer. It's not all pat myself in the back. Look how good I am. It matters not to me how good you think I am. It doesn't matter to me, to myself, how much I think I am. I'm not here for my ego. And so when I used to bid on the monorail lots, I got a box a week coming in for a while. Like, another monorail lot. Just like, but that happened back then. you could do that back then. You can't do it now. Like you go onto eBay now, they're asking $1 trillion or whatever they're asking for monorail now, and it is steep. And I fully understand it's steep, and I can't help that it's steep. Just like the Galaxy Explorer, I can't help that it's steep. We went to the Lego store yesterday for dinner. We went to Lego dinner, if you want to call it that, and we stopped by Sherway, and I was just crying at how expensive the sets are. And I mean, how big and beautiful they are. I mean, straight up, they're gorgeous sets. But when I see $8.99 or $6.99 or $1,099, I'm going, I'm out. I'm out of buying new Lego and sets anymore. I was really thinking I wanted Optimus Prime, which I do not have. $249. No, I'm not paying that. I am not paying $249. No, again, I bought 3 Galaxy Explorers for $129 a piece. so who am I to say, because I love Galaxy Explorers more than I love Optimus Prime, but it's what you want. It's what you, anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. So in the end, hope everybody's doing well. Everybody stay safe out there. I hope I didn't offend anybody, because that was not my intent with this video. But I do want to say that I do appreciate the people who do watch these movies, these little videos of mine, and whether or not you respond is irrelevant. I still appreciate you, and I want you to be well. And I will talk to you soon.